Well, hello, educator friends, and welcome back. So, we are in our next episode here of the School Life series. And if this is your first time checking in, you are in the right place. This educational resource is designed specifically for you. So, my name is Ross Braun. I'm a former elementary principal, national speaker, PD facilitator, and the vice president at School Life. And I intentionally designed the School Life series for educators as a place where you can tune in and get better. Each episode, I bring on true rock star educators from around the country, and they are here. They share some stories about their educational experience, provide incredible advice, and just pour in to you. So today on this episode, we've got another rock star educator. So we've got Principal Nick Edwards joining us from New Jersey. Definitely our first New Jersey guest on the School Life series. But I met Nick actually pretty recently at the NCMLE conference in Charlotte. And Nick was just one of those guys that as soon as I met, I'm like, he's my guy, right? He's one of my type of educators that's just all in for kids, passionate about relationships, and we hit it off from the moment that we met. And so I asked Nick, "Hey, you want to jump on?" And he did that. So Nick, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on again. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Thanks for having me. I'm glad first Jersey guy to be on here. So I appreciate
Yeah,
you rocking and rolling with me.
absolutely. Well, Nick, I like to just start out by getting to know you a little bit. So, share with us a little bit about you as a person, your personal life. Who are you? What are your passions? Your family? What's life like in New Jersey? Those type of things.
Well, Jersey's crazy as always. People say, you're from the Northeast, you have a couple screws loose. So we have a good time here. First educator, dad, husband. I have a beautiful wife, Suzanne. She's incredible. And my two girls. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old tomorrow. So it's been hectic getting the children down because they're all excited for the birthday tomorrow,
Yeah.
balloons, presents to be wrapped, and a crazy day. And it's been raining, so it's unfortunate that we can't do more fun outside things to do. But we got a day planned tomorrow. Hopefully, it's the weather holds off and
Cool.
we do a good job. But yeah, from Jersey, love education, love sports, coached a little while in my time,
Yeah.
and now was a teacher for about 12 years and an administrator. Crazy stories as being a teacher to principal. So
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
life,
That's
connections.
cool. That's great. Yeah. And as a parent, because we all like talking about parenthood, because a lot of the educators we have on here are parents, and I always say, parents first. Your family is first. I know you're really big on that as well, but there is pressure every birthday, no matter what it is. There's just a little pressure as a parent to make it the perfect day. So I can relate with you on that. Good luck tomorrow on the big day. But you hinted a little bit, Nick, about your journey as an educator. Tell us a little bit more. Where did you start your education career at? What have been some stops along the way? And officially, like, where are you now?
So I started, well, it took me a while, honestly, out of college. I struggled to pass the teaching exam. I was not a good test taker. I never had that self confidence to put my work ethic into academics. I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. Played Division 1 baseball, so that was the goal and the mentality. But I always worked with children in a summer program. Loved working with kids. Loved the coaching aspect. Had some great mentors, great coaches, great teachers, administrators. So I knew I wanted to get in some sort of education field. But the problem was is that I had no self confidence to pass the test.
Okay.
And it took me about 4 times to pass it. And the last time I took a course at one of the local colleges here to try to get hints and tips and to build the confidence that I could to take the test and pass it. And then when I finally passed it, it was like the biggest celebration that I could have. It was like
Yeah.
bottom nine, 3-2 count. It was that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. So when I did pass it, I had opportunities to become a teacher. But first was being a Catholic school teacher, kindergarten in Newark, New Jersey. And I realized that if I could do kindergarten, I can teach anything. It was really, really cool though. Being
Yeah.
20 years old and just being with little kids and playing and crying and all that other stuff. So it got me prepared for the future as being a dad now.
Mhm.
So I
For
started
sure.
kindergarten there, was there for a year, and I thought I was going to teach in the town where I lived in because I knew the principal, I knew a lot of staff, I knew the community well, and they went in another direction. And I was totally
Mm.
devastated, a town guy,
Yeah.
and to feel that and knock down, now what's my next resort? I was lucky to get a teaching job in the town next over from where I lived
Mm.
in Kearney, New Jersey. And it was a TARA, target at risk students, kind of like a basic skills type of classroom. Work with grades 4 to 8. Kind of liked it because you were different, going to different classrooms, different teachers, and basically learning from the teachers as well. As being a first year teacher, basically in public school, you're getting different types of variety of teachers, the way they teach, the way they act with students, the way they conduct their classroom, and so forth. So it was a good mix of teachers just learning from. And then the following year, I was asked to either do fourth grade or first grade, and I definitely picked fourth grade because I
Yeah.
was done with the little ones.
Good choice.
Yeah, and I did fourth grade for 11 years. Absolutely loved
Cool.
it, and got into coaching. Coached high school football for about 7 years. Head coach for two. Head coach baseball for two. Coached about 10 years at the high school level, and
Mhm.
then I just decided that I wanted to move on to the next chapter, be an administrator. I had a wonderful principal. His name was Bob Sprague,
Cool.
and watching him conduct and run a building, I try to bring some of that and emulate him in a lot of ways. And the other coaches that I had, how they conducted themselves of character and work ethic and so forth. So I had a conversation with him, and he said, "I think you're ready. I think you're ready to take that next step. We need some good leaders out there, and you have the leadership skills to do it." So when I was coaching football, I was teaching, coaching football, and after practice, I would go to get my master's at night at St.
Yeah.
Peter's in Jersey City, and it was great. That's when I really wanted to learn. It took me all this time that I really enjoyed learning about education, going for my master's and seeing what kind of administrator that I wanted to be. I took bits and pieces from each uh, section or class that I wanted that I had to take, and just started using them in the classroom when I would go back to teach the next day or the following week, and ask the principal or assistant principal, "Hey, can I do some leadership things?"
Yeah.
If it
That's
was,
good. Yeah.
run a lunch program and so forth. And then I was there, and like Tom Brady, try and go for interviews, or get knocked down, knocked down, knocked down. And your mentality is, I can't do this, but then you start persevering, and you're like, I can do this. My whole life I've struggled and I failed, and I'm here now. So when I passed my administration, I did that the first time.
There you go. Yeah.
I felt the confidence from there, and then doing these things. And then I was hired in 2018 in Bound Brook, New Jersey, as the assistant principal. So it was a new community, new district,
And this is
new
when it gets
students, new
crazy, right?
staff. And then thought it was going to be great just learning as an assistant principal and learning from the principal. And I went on vacation with my wife and my parents. And I came back from vacation, and the principal's office was empty. And she took another job in her hometown district. I was kind of dumbfounded, like, okay, what happens next? There's other
Yeah.
vice principals in a district. Are they going to get the job? Is it, how's it going to work? So I had to go see the superintendent. This was a Friday. I had to see the superintendent, and he was like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, you're the boss. You hired me.
You
You're
tell
the
me,
decision."
yeah.
But I told him, I said, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to fail,
Mhm.
but I believe in myself. I'm a people person, and I want to just do great things with kids and teachers. So he said, I'll get back to you on Monday. And we had a meeting on Monday. I walked into his office. At the time, there was a woman sitting there in the chair, and he said, "Meet your assistant principal." you're the principal, go back to school and get to work. So kind of crazy experience.
That's the crazy. I've never heard a story like that. I mean, 3 weeks in, and here you go. Here are the reins.
Here we go.
So that's crazy. But you and I were talking before we started recording here. That's the best way to learn, right?
Yeah.
Is just jump in, dive in. Like you said, you're a people person first. Relationships are always at the forefront of what you're doing, and if you're doing it right,
Yep.
then yeah, you're going to make mistakes. There's 20-year veteran principals out there still making mistakes,
Yes.
but if you're doing what's best for kids at the end of the day, then you're going to be just fine. And so
Agreed.
that is great. I love that story, man. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing about
Yeah, no. I mean,
just your journey as an educator, and I think people need to hear that, especially
I,
when you talk about just your struggle with passing that first teaching exam. I was a student in college that did not enjoy the academics either. I almost dropped out my sophomore year and said, you know what, college isn't for me. And then I went on to do great things. And so whoever's out there that's struggling and saying, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right role for me? Then keep working hard, keep pursuing it.
and that's what we don't do enough of, and people don't do this enough, is tell their story.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have crazy and different and stories of trauma, of stories of failure, of successes, and we have to use those stories and lessons to teach the children and teach the
Yes.
students so they can connect. And so have a student that can't pass a test or struggling or gets in trouble. Hey, I was that kid.
Yeah.
Growing up, I messed up. I couldn't pass, but look at me now. There's
Yep.
always that time of maturity, and there's always that time of leaning on people and learning from people to get where you need to be. And
Yeah.
it,
Like you said, it's so important that kids hear that teachers in your building hear that, because I think a lot of times we see, oh, there's Nick or there's Ross, and they've probably had the golden street all the way to where they're at, and that's not the case. And
not even
so
close.
we can let them assume that, but I think it's important that we open ourselves up and let our guards down and say, hey, this is my story. This is how I got here, and so you never know who's listening. So
Yep, exactly.
who's listening here? Well, Nick, so you're an elementary principal, and how would you describe yourself? What type of leader are you in your day-to-day work?
I love what I do.
Yeah.
Just to, every day, the most important thing that I like to do morning and afternoon is I'm out and about, checking in on every teacher, on the students, going to the classrooms. I go to every classroom every single day. Thumbs up. You need anything? Have a great morning. Be kind, work hard, be great.
Yeah.
Just walking around the building, thumbs up, smile on my face. Because if the students see it, the teachers see it, then the teachers can do it, the students can do it. And you have to be
Yeah.
that. You have to be proactive. You have to be fun. I get to dress up too. And I tell people this, I get to dress up and wear blow up costumes for
Yeah.
different holidays. And the excitement that they know what's going to happen in the building is just awesome. Teachers
Yeah.
just shake their heads and they laugh, and the kids absolutely love it. And that's what it's about. It's about having fun, about being different. If I'm going to have an opportunity to make a child smile that may not go home and have the love that they get,
Yeah.
a lot of our kids and students have tough lives. They sometimes don't get meals. They sometimes have to sleep on the floor. And if I can get a smile out of them a day, I think that's winning. I think that's the whole process, and the reason
Yeah.
why we get into this field is to help impact children and help impact adults. So daily, run around the building, show my face, check in,
Mhm.
couple meetings here and there, do some work, but out and about. I don't like to be in
Yeah.
my office that much. If I do, I can get a lot of work done because I have a great AP. But things come up, crisis comes up, and we have to do different types of fields. We have to be guidance counselors at times. We got to be
Yeah.
fathers, parents at times. We got to be nurses sometimes. You got to step up and do every job that you should be doing. You're not just a principal and with a title. Go in and I check in on my lunch people
Yeah.
every day. Thank you for what you do. Lunch smells great, and I want our kids to do that. So we try to make it a team. It's Academy Street, so
Yeah.
we call ourselves the A team. But trying
That's
to be a
cool.
servant leader, I think that's it. To be a
Yeah.
leader to help others that's my goal.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. And I'll piggyback on two things that you said. My mantra was always that I want to build a place that students and teachers get to come to every day instead of have to. You
Hmm.
know, I get to come to school. I want to be the place that I feel loved, that I feel safe, and that I look forward to being at,
Yes, sir.
for
Amen.
both our students and our adults. And so, and just yeah, I love that servant leadership. If you're a principal and you're sitting on a title, then you need to look in the mirror.
Hmm.
I'll never forget the first time I grabbed a mop in the cafeteria. My janitor looked at me like I was crazy, and he go, "What are you doing? Give me
Yes,
that." I
sir.
said, "No, you go do your thing. I got this milk spill. This isn't beneath me." I've never
Right.
seen a principal do that before.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, "Well,
To
get
watch,
used to
to
it
watch
because you've
tables.
got me now."
You only have one or two custodians and you have about
Yeah,
20 tables and they can't do it by themselves. And again, like it's not because we want to be seen doing it. It's because you probably brought up the same way I was brought up, to help
yeah,
others, to
absolutely.
do what's right. There's a carriage. I just went pick up order at Target and there's a carriage in the middle because of the wind and the rain. Just move it over. You just
Yeah,
you just do things because you know you're supposed to
do the
do and
right
it's the right
thing.
thing to do.
Yep,
It's
yep,
not
love
easy,
that,
man.
man.
I mean, it's not
Love
hard.
that.
You know?
Well, okay. So speaking of that, so as your upbringing, my next question is, who has influenced you? It can be both personally and professionally. It could be two different people, but who's had a big influence on you in your life?
It's always my parents were I had great parents. My brother is amazing. My brother, he's a lieutenant police officer, over 20 years. Just an incredible brother. When you have someone that you could look up to that is always doing the right things, whether it was in school, whether it was with friends, always inviting me to be with his friends, and they were older, to play sports and so forth. Just how he conducted himself, just how he took that leadership role of doing the right things. So it was very easy to learn from someone as great as your older brother. And then we
Yeah,
have parents, that worked hard their whole lives. Um, we went to church every Sunday as a family. We sat down and say grace as a family. We had dinner as a family. So it plays a huge role when you're with your family and learning family values of
yeah,
morals, of respect, and the people that my parents were around and my brother was around all were good people too. So it was very easy to see what was right and what was wrong. And just the upbringing with them. And then, but it was wild because growing up, education, we had no educators in the house. But I knew I wanted to go in that field. So
mhm,
I had some really good teachers. I really had
yeah,
special teachers. And like I said earlier, if it was going in my senior year in high school, my freshman year I almost failed out. And going in my senior year, I'm supposed to be the captain, but I was almost ineligible to play. But this one teacher kept me after school in the winter, to take his class over, Mr. Lillis. And I'll always remember that because he didn't have to do that. You know, he didn't have to take
yeah,
the time after teaching all day and say, Nick, come after school. And he really pushed me. And it wasn't, you're still going to take these tests. This is how you're going to study. This is what you're going to do.
yeah. He
But you
did
still got
hand
to
it to
pass
you.
my
Yeah,
class. And that dedication, that was very special. And I look back of just giving opportunities. And I like to do that with my students because they kind of get out of jail free card. You made a
mhm,
mistake. This is what
yeah,
you did wrong. Let's learn from it and move forward. You do it again, we're gonna have a problem. We have to have a discussion.
yeah.
So definitely,
I had that same philosophy, man. It's like you make the same mistake twice, then we've got
yeah.
issues. But everybody makes mistakes.
But
So
professional, I had a great, like I said, principal, Mr. Bob Sprague. I learned a lot from him. And then guys now that we've connected with that are trying to teach me the way of the ropes now of,
yeah,
getting the website, getting LLC, getting your name out there to speak. We all have that same field and passion, like Darren Pepper, Brandon Beck,
yeah,
all these guys that take the time, um, and want to help people. And it's like these are people you see all over the place. And having that conversation with Chuck Moss down in North Carolina, like we were kids in like a candy store, meeting people that we see on Twitter
yeah,
all the time and connecting and learning. I mean, I just think that's what it's about. You just continue to learn,
yeah.
in this
And these people are
profession.
great people, people that
Great people.
I'd say you admire, look up to, and
Mhm.
really, appreciate what they do, but they are genuinely great people. Time and time again, I meet somebody, I've been on social media, I'm like, wow, you really are that person, right?
Yep.
And maybe even better than I thought you were going to be, because you sat down and had dinner with me for an hour and just showed me the ropes, like you
Right.
said. So, uh, definitely thankful to be surrounded by people like that. And you talked about your family. I was raised the same way, and just truly thankful to have a family like that.
Yep.
And so, I think you share the same passions that I have. You hinted on it, how many kids in your school that don't have that type of upbringing, but you know what? You're going to model it for them at least 8 to 3 during the school hours. You're going to provide them with that type of support and love. So that's awesome. Hey, man. So this next question, just kind of fun, but what has been a game changer or a hack per se for your school life? As let's say as a principal.
Game changer is it's funny because a funny story. I came from a district that we had a lot of tough kids. You know, we had behavior students, and I wanted to connect with those students the best way possible. I had a great teacher. He was also the basketball coach, and the way that you build relationships is get in that classroom as much as possible. These kids have trauma. These kids have tough upbringings. So I started having a handshake with them every single day. Each student had a different handshake from
So,
me, and we rocked it, and we did it every day, and that was my way of connecting with them. And then just coming over into my new building, I remember the first day of school. I was in my office and I was standing up, walking around, and my secretary's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I'm just waiting for a fire," because we're used to putting out fires. I was used to putting out fires, used to dealing with a lot of things going on in the classroom or in the building. When it's still a great school, but things happen, and you
Mhm.
have to be all over the place to take care of these things. So that first day, she's like, "It doesn't happen here." And now being there for a year, I'm very blessed to have a great staff. The students are great, the community is great, the parents are great, and just being able to just every single day go into a classroom, check on students, and see their smiles. And I don't speak Spanish, but I'll be going to the classroom. Buenos dias, cómo está? You know, because at the end, and I'm learning, and it's fun
And
because
yeah,
they see me trying to learn from them, and it's just a fun environment, and to build a climate and culture that we could grow on and continue to make better is the most
yeah.
important thing.
And next level, right?
Next
When you
level.
got that, foundation there, it's like, okay, let's go to the next level.
Mhm.
So that's cool. All right, so this next part I call it the open floor. So we've gone pretty far now, maybe 5 minutes or so, where you can just share your passions. So share some advice um, to our audience with whatever you want to share, Nick. So I don't know what you're going to share. I'm excited to hear it though. So set
It
back
You
and
could
go
put
for
me in
it.
so many different directions with this, and I may go in different directions.
Okay.
That's how my brain works, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is. Um, for young educators, definitely, this is it's a career. You know, it's not just a job, it's a career that you could do great things. You could touch so many lives, of being a supportive person, a teacher. And we have to look in this field today is that we're losing a lot of educators. We're losing a lot of teachers. You know, a couple of years ago, I would have a bunch of student teachers come in the building, and now we're lucky to get one or two. And
Mhm.
it's a shame because we're looked at, in a different, category, different way, of education. And I think we have to get back to the old ways of, get up, show up, and make sure we're taking care of our students. I look at education so different now of having my daughter go to school.
Yeah.
So now that my daughter goes to school, it's those moments where how would you want your child, or how do you want your child to be taught? And, Jonathan Alsheimer says it all the time, with love. And if I see a teacher showing that love, and Principal Kafele said, teach, build relationships first, content next. And all of these, I believe in that. That's like just my whole persona is show that you care, build relationships, and then worry about the academics second. We need to build great people, kind people,
Mhm.
teach them work ethics, um, and to just have fun doing it. It shouldn't be hard. It's education. We should have fun teaching. We should have fun being administrators, and do it the way we want. So I just think we can go in so many directions with this question, and I just think people really need to care about this field, and
Yeah.
realize that there's so much uh, strength that you can get doing it, of helping others. It's just it's incredible. The
Mhm.
stories that I've had, the relationships that I've had. I've been to weddings of my ex, football players, teaching, seeing my old students become teachers,
Yeah.
and they bring up stories of what we've done in the classroom, or they remembered a lesson, or they remembered a conversation. And I think that's what it's all about, is those relationships that you can make in
Yeah.
this field.
One thing, sorry to interrupt you, but one thing I always say, I grew up in a little farm town here in Indiana, and farmers in our community get to see their harvest every fall. Right, they plant the seed in the spring, it grows, they harvest it in the fall. As educators, we don't plant the seed in the fall and harvest it every spring. But when you go to the wedding of your former football player, when you see a former student at Target and they introduce you to their two kids, they tell you about that new job they just got, that's your harvest, right?
Right.
And you can go to the bank and know that you played a role in the success of that former student.
Right.
And as educators, we have to know that we are doing the right thing. We are making an impact. We don't get to see our wins on a daily basis, maybe not even a yearly basis, but what we're doing is making a difference in the lives of these childs. And if they're doing it like you're doing it, Nick, the way that you're modeling in your school and sharing with the rest of the country, prioritizing the right things, being kind, doing the right thing, then we're going to have an entire generation now of kind, generous, great people. And not to get on a soapbox, but we've lost it a little bit. Our country's lost it, and we see it
Yeah.
happening before
Well,
our eyes right now. There's an entire generation that academics was priority,
Mhm. Right.
and you see the effects of it. So sorry. So to dive a little deeper into this, Nick, how do you model this to your teachers?
You every day you got to show up. I could have a tough morning. I'm just like, and I have to explain it. You're a human being. I have two kids. Teachers have kids. I'll be
Yeah,
waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Luckily now they're sleeping through the night. But there were times where, I have to go to work, but I've been up in the middle of the night with a 2-year-old if they're sick, helping out my wife. And you go to work and you have to put the smile on your face, and you have to put that aside, and you can't show that you're tired, and you have to do all the things right for your teachers to see, because they need you. You can close the door sometimes, have lunch, but they need to see you. They need the support, because they don't get enough support.
yeah,
And we've had the conversation, that teachers are always wrong, parents are always right, and I'm a parent, I'm an educator.
yeah,
If a kid messes up, they're gonna deal with it at home. But there's we really just have to focus on the kid and the student, because there are so many children now that have bad influences. If it's social media, if it's all the
yeah,
negativity in the world, we need leaders. We need great people, kind people, just to show the right way. And it's really simple. And how we do it is just going to work every day and being that person for that child. It's a responsibility. I do believe in that. I have a responsibility to take care of my students, take care of my staff, and I'm going to
yeah.
do it and till it's no longer my time.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's great advice. It needs to be in more schools, and I think you have seen it as well as I have as we started working with other schools around the country. That's not always the case in schools, and so if there's a leader of a building out there that maybe that's not your priority or philosophy, then I encourage you to listen to this, reach out to Nick or I, or join a PLC where you're surrounded by people with this kind of philosophy and. Um, I promise you, you will see the results from it by
Hmm.
switching this mindset, because your school will go, like I said, to the next level. So, anything else you want to share here, Nick, in the open floor?
Just trust the
No,
process of
yeah,
failing, persevering, making other people great. And that's the goal. And that's what I want to try to do, get my word out there of the struggles that I had to do and moving forward and trying to help others in this process. So,
Yeah, that's a great story. So I end every episode, which you gave a lot of advice to educators, so we'll skip over that one. But is there an advice to students, as a coach, teacher, principal, that you've always kind of given to your students? What advice would that be?
be kind, work hard, be great.
I
That's
knew
my
that.
motto every
I knew that
single
was
day.
coming.
That's my slogan, man. I live by it, and it's real easy. Everybody can do it. Students, teachers, parents. Be kind, work your tail off, work hard, and just at the end of the day, be great. This is what we want. My it's so cool. My daughter, we say it every night before bed, and we're the tigers of my school. So I'll say, be kind, work hard, be great, and she'll say, go Tigers. So
That's awesome.
it's in the mindset of we say it every day. Me and my daughter, our students, and my students are saying it. So I
Hmm.
think if you continue to just do that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do those things.
Love
It's real
that.
simple.
And it becomes a way of life,
That's
right?
it.
It's not just something you say at school. You leave the walls of your school, and you go out and you live it, and then next thing you know, your teachers and your students, they're going out into your community, and they're living that mantra in
That's it.
every step. So, Nick, thanks, man. I really
Pleasure,
appreciate
my
you
man.
coming on this episode and just diving deep and hopefully getting the word out. So, if you are not following Nick on social media, make sure you do so. He's great. Saturday? What'd you call it? Saturday
Yeah, my self-reflect Saturday. So you can follow
self-reflect
me
Saturdays?
at Nick_Edwards EDU on Twitter. Every Saturday I do a self-reflection of either a scenario or something I just pops up in my head to talk
Yeah,
about, and I want people to reflect on it going into the following week. You can check me out on my website, NickEdwardsEDU.com, and look forward to continuing to network and get out there and spread my word of support and to
you
be
bet.
great and to help other people.
Awesome. Thank you again, Nick. And shout out School Life for sponsoring School Life series as always. Appreciate everything that they do. So, hey, that's all we got. As I always say, be great today.
Thanks, Ross.